On this week's episode at Nutrition's My Life, we're talking thyroid and the type of waters that you're drinking, because do the type of waters you're drinking actually affect your thyroid? We're going to be talking about fluoride. We're going to be talking about the pH. We're going to be talking about endocrine disruptors and just how to get in more water into your diet. So if y'all are really excited about this, please share, like, comment, leave a review, do all the things so that way I know that you're enjoying this and that you want more topics similar to this. So for the purpose of today, it is simply educating you on like hydration, right? We're comprised mostly of water. And so if we're just drinking a little bit in the morning and a little bit throughout the day, it can actually contribute to our brain fog. I bet y'all didn't know that, right? Just, I think it's like a 1% or 2% decrease in our body's water actually can cause the brain fog. So if you're just like, oh, I can't think about anything, maybe just make sure that you have your water nearby and see if that can actually help out. Water is also going to help out with your digestion and helping things kind of go through a lot easier. So it's really important that we get enough hydration in, but that's when it comes into what kind of water should I be drinking? Should I buy those fancy, like, what are they called? Like Berkey or Kengen or whatever, I don't know. All those fancy water systems. Like, do I really need a fancy water system if I have a thyroid disorder? And I will tell you that my water and getting a fancy system and doing everything was probably, I mean, all these endocrine disruptors was probably the last thing that I did on my thyroid journey. And again, y'all, when I say this, I am still on my thyroid journey. As many of y'all, once you have a thyroid disorder, we have it for life, right? We can get to a better place with our thyroid and we can get our Hashimoto's, all those antibodies to reduce and just really get into a better place, but we still have a thyroid disorder, right? So I always want y'all to remember that if someone's over here going, I've cured myself, I no longer have issues, y'all, they've just gotten themselves into a better place. And if they stop doing some of those things that have gotten them into that better place, then they can easily go right back into where they initially started at. And so this is why it's a lifestyle change. And that's why this is something that is slow to slowly integrate into your day, into your daily habits. Because if we try to just dive all in and it's overwhelming. We're not going to be able to implement all these things. We're going to get frustrated thinking things aren't working, and then we kind of throw in the towel. So as with anything, give yourself grace during this time as you're learning new information. So let's start off with the fluoride in our water system, actually. So fluoride is a thyroid and endocrine disruptor, right? It has been known over and over again to actually disrupt our thyroid hormones. But do we really need to worry about it in our water or maybe even in our toothpaste? Do we? Right? Well, luckily fluoride it's added to our water and they did that years and years ago because it helps out with preventing dental caries, right? We want to make sure our teeth are strong and healthy, because that actually is a very good indicator how our overall health is. But what happens if they added too much of that in, right? Well, luckily they regulate, you can look up on your state, your city even, and actually see how much fluoride is allowed in there and in your water, and they test it. So you can see that they're not going to go over the unsafe amount. So the water that you're getting, that you're showering in, is not going to be the problem of the thyroid, right? It's not going to be the main issue of what's going on in that. So I'm not worried about brushing my teeth with fluoride. I'm not worried about going to the dentist and getting some fluoride every once in a while, right? Because we're not swallowing it, we're spitting it out. And even at that, our bodies are designed to metabolize it. So it's becomes a problem if we're drinking it in high volumes. So I'm not concerned of fluoride as far as it being a thyroid disruptor, because we'd have regulations in place. Now let's talk about the pH. This is a hot topic for so many people, right? Should my pH of my water be alkaline? Should I spend all that money and get alkaline water? And y'all, the studies don't reflect that you need to do that. Most of the studies out there that you see on the alkalinity and the pH in the water is done in rats and mice. So they don't have enough research out there right now and human research to actually say, yes, this is beneficial. And the reason why that is because it's hard to prove that it is really, really helpful. There have been some studies that show that you might have a benefit if you are like an elite athlete or just an athlete in general, because it can actually help out with helping the body rid itself of that lactic acid, right? With providing a little bit more. But other than that, it doesn't, the claims about it helping fight cancer and improving all these things, there's not enough research out there to support that alkaline water is a better option. And the reason why it becomes so trendy right now is because people are making money off of it. But if you have working kidneys and working lungs, your body's designed to balance itself out with its pH, right? Our blood level that our body enjoys is a 7.4. That's our happy homeostasis, right? That is what our body loves. And so the World Health Organization said, hey, our water needs to be a pH between 6.5 and I think it's like 8.5 or 8.8, or maybe even at 8, pH of 8. So it might even be a little bit less of a range. I need to look it up again. But yeah, it does not need to be above 9, where most alkalinity waters are out there. Because again, if it is too acidic, your kidneys are going to shoot out some more base. If it is and also if your blood is too acidic, you're going to breathe out more carbon dioxide. So you're obviously going to exhale all of that. That's a part of what our bodies are designed to do, right? Is to get rid of the waste. And breathing is actually, we're inhaling our oxygen and getting rid of our CO2, our waste. Same thing with our kidneys. Our kidneys are designed to balance our blood levels. So once that water hits your stomach, you have a very acidic stomach, so it already turns acidic right there. And then we absorb it, and then your body's going to naturally balance itself out. I do not see people with crazy, metabolic acidosis in the typical walking, talking person. If someone has a metabolic acidosis where they would probably benefit from more alkalinity. I see that in a hospital setting when someone's very sick, right? And they're maybe on a ventilator and unable to, regulate themselves properly because their body is so sick. That is the only time I personally have ever seen metabolic acidosis. That's not, you don't see that in the typical person walking around. So I think it's just more of a waste of money when it comes to the pH. So let's talk about more carbonated waters. This is something so many people love, right? And my husband's one of them. He actually, as I was bringing props up here, he was going to be talking about me. I was like, yep. And the reason why I'm bringing him as an example is that he has some burping and bloating issues, as do many, many people, right? And so his theory was, well, if I just drink more of the bubbling water, it makes me burp. So I'm getting the carbonation, the excess gas out of me. And I'm like, but you're putting so much gas in. And so that to me is, if you have digestive issues, we should be avoiding our bubbly carbonated waters. But as far as carbonated waters with, we even have another type down there. Do I drink them? I had half of one yesterday, LaCroix, and I was just like, I don't like this. I didn't even finish the half that I had. I poured it down the sink. But if this is the only way you're going to drink in water, we might need to be aware of the brand. So I would encourage y'all to look up and just go on, like, just Google Consumer Report, carbonated waters, and you'll be able to see a list out there that shows the different types of carbonated waters out there. And the reason why I say look on Consumer Report is because they tested something in these carbonated waters, like the LaCroix, the Topo Chico, and this was something like big in the news, probably this last year, if not the year before. I don't remember when that article came out, but what they ended up finding is that it was the amount of PFAs and PFOs, and I am not going to try to say the polyphenol whatever alkaloid. It's a PFA and a PFO. So basically PFAs and PFOs, there's typically about 5 different variations of them. There can be more, but typically around 5 of them that are commonly found. They're found in like Teflon. So the nonstick pans, it can be found in our cosmetics. It can be found in carbonated waters. And what these PFAs and PFOs are something called endocrine disruptors. So when we have an endocrine disruptor, our hormone system is our endocrine system. And so when we have something disrupting it, it is literally disrupting our hormone receptor sites. So you have, especially our thyroid, right? Our thyroid controls almost every cell in the body's metabolism. So you have all these receptor sites all over your body. But if we're drinking too much, let's say it's the Topo Chico, that one had like, I think it was like 9 parts per trillion or something like that, over 9. And they recommend less than 1. So Topo Chico was like the worst offender with the most amount of PFAs and PFOs. There was another one called Polar, and it was like at 6. The LaCroix was at like 2 something. So they were still above what is recommended. And so what these PFAs and PFOs do is they can cause that TSH to go way too high. And so when you're like, I'm changing my medicine, I'm doing everything and I can't lose weight, my TSH keeps going up, it could be something as simple as the makeup that you're putting on, the water that you're drinking, using nonstick pans when you're cooking. Because what happens is that starts, you have all those receptor sites and it blocks. So you have these hormones that are trying to attach itself and the body is like, there's nothing there. And you're just like, but I sent something out. Okay, maybe you need to send and make up some more hormones. And this is very, very common in people that have elevated TSH and elevated estrogen. So my PCOS and my thyroid warriors, if you continue to have elevated TSH, and we've gone through everything where I'm eating all the right things. And if you're needing to figure out what to eat, I have podcasts on it. I have, check out my blog, 7 reasons why your TSH is increasing. I have my book, right? All these tools. But if you've done everything, you're like, no, I've followed everything that you've said. I've not working out as hard. I'm increasing my calorie intake. I'm sleeping better, and I'm still not seeing all these things. This is typically the last thing that I check with my clients because, again, there's all these other important steps that I feel like this one, yes, we can do that initially whenever you want it, but it tends to be something I do as like a last little end thing with them. Because if that hormone is trying to attach itself and we've gone and exhausted everything else, then it's like, okay, maybe it is some of the other things kind of going on. And I actually had this recently with a client where she had some weight loss and she's doing phenomenal in so many things, but she is a active thyroid cancer, and one of her levels went up, and her doctor was really impressed with everything that she's doing. She looks better, her skin looks clearer, she has more energy. You could just tell all around she's in a better place because of her nutrition, but she still was having like standstill with her weight loss. And at the other time, it was also, like I said, like part of her thyroid cancer, like markers were like, something else is going on. So the last thing I did, I know this isn't about water, but this kind of ties into this endocrine disruptor. The last thing I had her do was like, we haven't talked about like your perfumes, your wall plugins, your candles, and all that other stuff. Like, how are you doing with that? And she was like, oh my goodness, I knew this was going to happen one day. I love my Bath and Body Works candles. I love the scented like stuff. I love all of that. And so we talked about using essential oils instead, because those hormones disruptors they really do affect us, right? And so if you have all these things blocking all your hormones because of the deodorant you're using, the different types of tampons, the makeup, and possibly even the water that you're drinking could be affecting the thyroid. So what kind of waters do we drink, right? Would it be a great thing for us if you can find if you have a reverse osmosis system in there, something that will take out those PFOs, PFAs, then that is going to be our best bet. I go to, and I'll kind of rotate everything if you're watching on my YouTube and here on TikTok. This is what I end up using. So I more than likely will have a glass bottle, and I fill it up using this 3-gallon jug that we get. And if you are curious, I have this on my Products I Trust page on my website. I do not make any money off of you purchasing it through my website. I thought initially I was going to, but apparently I didn't make enough money and they kicked me out of the program. Not enough of y'all. So I still have it on my website and everything, just to make it easy for people to sort of my life, right? Not making enough money. No, that's the wrong mindset for abundance, right? But honestly, I got this on Amazon. Got this big old glass 3-gallon jug, and this spout. This is just an electric spout that I'm able to just like put on real quick, and I can show y'all how it works, and you can listen to it on my podcast. But it's simple. You just push it and it's done. But I will say the little spout, about a year into it, kind of like crapped out on us and we had to buy another one. But I want to say it was like $12 or $13. So it wasn't that expensive, but we just go get this filled up at those little blue stations. You can see, like they say, like Glacier or whatever, like outside of Walgreens or the grocery store. And they're typically 35 cents a gallon to fill up. So they're super cheap. And so you can get a couple of these and, rotate them. We just have one and we go fill it up about 2 times a week, sometimes 3 times a week, but we have a place like it takes 2 seconds. I know it's not for everyone, as far as like, oh, I don't want to have to go and refill this up a couple times a week, but for us, it works until we're in a better financial place to get a reverse osmosis system put in to our house. So that way it just works for everything, right? So one of the best phrases I can tell you is I'm doing the best I can with what I have. We don't have to be perfect here, but we can find some solutions that end up working for us. And so speaking of solutions that are working for us, is I'm always having a water bottle with me. If I'm even going to go pick up the kids from school, I will make sure that I have a water bottle in the car with me. So that way, if I'm thirsty, I will be able to have a sip of water. I frequently see so many of my thyroid warriors just frequently constipated, which is a common side effect of having a sluggish, slow thyroid. But something as drinking more water can help tremendously. It can help out with the bloating. It can help, like I said earlier, with the brain fog. It's really going to just help kind of make things push you through a little bit better. And we are, like I said earlier, we are comprised mostly of water. So you just feel better overall. So I like ones like that I drink better out of that have certain like lids. So I do better with straws, and I do better with ones that have a spout. I notice if it has a large or big mouth to it, I don't drink as much of it because it's an issue with like spillage, right? It gets me all over the place. And so I'm like very cautious about it. I am weird with my textures. And so I don't like holding onto glass, whatever. Again, we've discussed Nicole's probably an undiagnosed ADHD, but textures are a weird thing for me. So I like having something that has some rubber or something else on the outside of that glass. So that way I can enjoy it. Last thing I want to mention is I didn't touch about plastic water bottles. If you have to get a plastic water bottle, it is what it is, but just make sure that it is not stuck in your car or in heat. It's when the heat is in these that the BPAs and other types of bisphenols will be released. So the BPA is bisphenol A, and that one has been kind of taken out of so many plastics and stuff, but it's still out there. But there's different types of bisphenols as well. So there's different types of BP. So you just be aware. That's why I don't microwave things in plastic. That's why we don't keep these plastics in the car. But I just wanted to make sure that that was touched a little bit for y'all. So that's what I have today at the Nutrition's My Life podcast and here at the YouTube. So if y'all enjoyed it, please share, like, write a review, because it's really important for us not to get scared and to be duped into buying some more expensive water. But it is nice for us to understand why we have to be aware of our waters as thyroid warriors. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this, and I will be back next week for another episode at Nutrition's My Life.